And welcome to The Verdict. Mick Cornett with Kent Myers. We're here each week discussing lively topics and meeting interesting people. And this week's show, we're going to talk to two people running for statewide office.
Yes, we last week talked about two people running for a district judge position. As you say, this week we're going to be talking to the two people running for the labor commissioner's post, a constitutionally created office created by the founders of this state in our Oklahoma Constitution, with some fairly specific responsibilities. And we'll have the existing incumbent labor commissioner, Brenda Reneau, with her challenger, Lloyd Field, coming and talking to you about what they think the issues are and letting you decide who you think ought to win.
November 7th, just around the corner, two candidates running for statewide office, the labor commissioner's race. Headlines today's edition of The Verdict. We'll be right back.
At Chesapeake Energy, here's a few of our favorite Hornets. Alexis likes reading. Sam enjoys history. Alec loves math. Chesapeake is proud to support both the Oklahoma City NBA Hornets and the Young Hornets at Horace Mann Elementary, where over 150 Chesapeake employees mentor to children each week. The students gain a lot from the experience, but not as much as we do. Chesapeake Energy, committed to building a better Oklahoma.
I'm Dave Bialis. Coming up this month on Generally Speaking, she's the First Lady of Oklahoma basketball. Sherry Cole sits down with us this month. We'll talk about the upcoming season, her aspirations, and the pursuit of a national championship.
You know how it is with anything that you're passionate about. You feel it. You can stay up all night working on it. You're not tired the next day. That's a pretty good sign that it's probably the thing that you should do.
That's Generally Speaking, found only on the Cox Channel.
Looks like somebody doesn't want you to know the facts about Cox Digital Telephone. Maybe it's because over 1.5 million customers are saving big, and you can too. Plus, you'll save even more on all your Cox services when you bundle today.
Oh, here's that new phone service I've been hearing about.
So while the phone company may not like competition,
Nice doggy.
you're gonna love it.
Nice doggy.
Welcome back to The Verdict. Mick Cornett with Kent Myers and our two guests, the candidates for labor commissioner, and Kent will introduce them.
Starting with the incumbent, the Honorable Brenda Reneau, the labor commissioner of the state of Oklahoma. She was first elected labor commissioner in 1994. She is in her third term. She's the first and only woman elected to this post, this statewide office of labor commissioner. She recently received the Quality of Crown Award that I'm sure she'll tell us a little bit about as we move along in the show. She has worked for workers' comp reform and right to work, among many other things. This is about her fourth appearance on The Verdict. And Commissioner, thanks for coming back.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Across the table to my right is Lloyd Field. Lloyd is the challenger for this position. Lloyd is a candidate, the Democratic candidate for labor commissioner. I failed to mention that Brenda is a Republican. He was a member of the House of Representatives for 10 years from the McAllister area. During that time, he was chairman of the Commerce, Industry, and Labor Committee of the House of Representatives. He's been a plumbing and mechanical contractor for in excess of 25 years. This is his second appearance on The Verdict. Lloyd, thanks for coming back.
Thank you for having me. Commissioner, what are the challenges that face the labor commissioner?
Well, if you'd asked me that about 8 years ago, I could have given you a list as long as your arm. It's really gotten better for us over the last few years. The legislature is our #1 challenge because we're so dependent upon what they decide we're going to do and how much money they give us. So it creates a situation where We have to be very creative, come up with, our motto is better, faster, smarter, and in having our funding slashed just year after year, really in hindsight, although I did a lot of complaining, in hindsight, it made us better. It made us figure out ways to deliver services to the public quicker, faster, and more dependent on technology. The bad side of that is that it costs, every time we would lose funding, it costs us employees, and that's the downside of it. But right now, I think, other than the legislature figuring out how the illegal immigration issue is going to play out. Okay.
Same question to you, Lloyd. What do you think the major challenges are facing the labor commissioner and whomever holds the office?
I think that, as the commissioner spoke of, is the safety aspects in the workplace. They've risen since 2000. I mean, we need to look at more of those and see how to correct those. We need to implement, I think, a different type of program with the safety pays to enhance it a little bit more than where it is today. Like I said, the illness has risen in the past years. The national average is 4.8 per 100. Oklahoma's at 7.5. I believe we need to do better than that. Oklahomans pride themselves in working hard in the state of Oklahoma, and I think that another issue that can be brought into the Department of Labor is policy making into where the insurance card is for every working Oklahoman, and also to raise the minimum wage.
Brenda, let me ask you a question, and I'll ask Lloyd not the same question, but a corresponding question. Tell the viewers what this Quality Crown Award is. You and your office both won that. What's that all about?
It was having the best, most efficient program. We developed a program internally that has to do with all of state agency and how time is kept, and it worked. And so they took a look at it and said, we want to use it for the state, for other agencies, and it just made timekeeping much more efficient. And so we received that award, and it was exciting.
Well, it's a pretty award.
It's about efficiency. Yeah, it's all about efficiency.
And who presented that? I mean,
well, the governor is behind or supports the program, but Oscar Jackson with the Office of Personnel Management, who really keeps his eye on all agencies. That's his job.
Well, Lloyd mentioned something I wanted you to follow up on a little bit about incidents of injuries in the workplace and all.
Thank you. Lloyd, I don't know where you get your information. You're wrong again. We're not 7.5. When I took office in 1994, Oklahoma was one of the riskiest states to work in. We were 15.5 or 7 per 100 accidents and incidents out of every 100. We have continually lowered that over the years to the extent that, Lloyd, we're not 7.5, we're 4.8. You have your numbers backwards. We're below the national average finally, and Oklahoma is now considered one of the safest states to work in. So whoever gave you that gave you wrong information. And because of that, Oklahoma has been looked at now for several years because we've been very aggressive. And I'm a pretty aggressive person, and we have pursued our safety pays program that I thought up in 1996. I got this idea, what if we go to businesses and we go with a handshake instead of a hammer, and we have a confidential, free of charge consultation program that prepares them for what federal OSHA would be looking for if they came into their workplace. And we first tried it with letters. Well, that didn't work. A letter that says, how about letting us OSHA come over and visit? Mm-mm. So we did a massive, around the state, if you will, campaign to sell safety pays one by one to each employer, explaining, holding town meetings with local VOTECs working with us, until we finally, to this day, even Lloyd, after voting to defund safety pays twice at least, even Lloyd now says safety pays as if it's a mainstream program, and it's taken us 10 years.
Let's let Lloyd talk a little bit here about, she's made some allegations to you, and also if you'd like to contrast your own qualifications.
Well, I mean, you can look at this. This is from the Oklahoman, dated November 18th of 05. It says right here, the comparison of 7.5 incident rate in 2003 is half of the national average. That's where I get my information.
Labor statistics is a better
the
source.
death rate in 2000 was 82. In 2001, it was 115. 2002, 92. 2003, 100. 2004, 91. 2005, 95. That's where I get these statistics from. It's from the Oklahoman. It's right here in print in front of me. So I'm not making up these figures.
No, they're just wrong.
So from the standpoint of winning awards is great, Brenda. There's nothing wrong with that. But it's not getting the job done. That's where I think that we should do more.
I'll give you 30 more seconds to finish out this segment. How would you get the job done?
It's like I was saying earlier, is to implement different programs. I mean, look at even the agriculture industry in Oklahoma. Even though it's exempt, we can still bring programs to help. We have over 250 children killed in agriculture incidences.
Need to cut you off there. We'll get to a break. Lloyd Field's Brenda Reneau discussing the election upcoming for the Labor Commissioner. Kent and I'll be right back along with our guests.
The Journal-Record is pleased to be a sponsor of the verdict. The Journal-Record, since 1903, the best source of Oklahoma business news and legal information.
Shining is taking responsibility. At Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Oklahoma, we know managing your health care can be overwhelming, and it's our job to help you meet the challenge. By guiding, supporting, and showing the way, we encourage you to gain control. Because we believe the best tool we can give you is the confidence to take charge. Blue Cross Blue Shield of Oklahoma, shining through.
Okiwani is an Indian name for a place where children play. When we obtained the camp, we found a lot of oil debris left in the woods. We saw a commercial about how the oil and natural gas industry cleans up old oil well sites. We called the OERB and they agreed to remove tons of concrete and steel. It didn't cost us a thing. Thousands of children have left their footprints on this land. Thanks to the oil and gas industry, they will for a long time to come.
All children deserve a life of hope and love, but sometimes they experience a life of pain, neglect, and abuse.
When that happens, each child deserves all the quality assistance and representation that can be offered in our legal system. For more information, call 23-CHILD.
Oklahoma Lawyers for Children, helping to bring hope and love back to the lives of abused children.
1 in 4 women will be a victim of domestic or sexual violence in their lifetime.
That's too many.
That's why we want you to know that if you or someone you know is suffering at the hands of an abuser, there is help. Call the Oklahoma Safe Line at 1-800-522-SAFE for access to state and local resources that can truly make a difference. Call anonymously, call toll-free, call today, because domestic violence is not a game. It's life or death.
Just keep it.
Thank you. Dr. Kessler? What's up with the pizzas?
Well, I just got my first satellite bill, and those extra fees were a bit of a shocker.
So I had to take a second job.
Hey, this was supposed to be pepperoni, dillweed.
Hey, it's Dr. Dillweed to you.
Whatever.
Kids.
It's cool, I'm a people person.
Don't live in satellite denial. Get all your entertainment without the hidden charges from Cox, your friend in the digital age.
Welcome back to The Verdict. Mick Cornett with Kent Myers. As always, Lloyd Fields and Brenda Reneau, our two candidates for Labor Commissioner, joining us here. When we left, we were discussing with Lloyd, and Lloyd, I'd like for you to address what life experiences you have that makes you feel like you're qualified to hold this position.
I believe that from being a worker myself, owning a company myself, serving in the legislature for 10 years, 6 of the 10 years that I was in the legislature, I was chairman of Commerce, Industry, and Labor for 6 of those years. I've paid workers' comp, I've paid insurance, I've been on the jobs with folks, even had one bad accident whenever I was in my young career of a journeyman plumber in Tulsa, Oklahoma, where the excavation caved in and I lost an apprentice in that accident. So I know something about what OSHA standards are. I understand the workplace. I know that Oklahomans are desperately in the need of a better health insurance plan in the workplace. Workers' comp is a problem out there. I believe that a better way of looking at the workers' comp is through the fraud unit and bumping it up more. I believe that we need to raise the minimum wage in the state of Oklahoma, and I've also seen statistics on that.
Okay, well, let's bounce that to Brenda. The question is your life experiences and how that applies to you in your position as Labor Commissioner.
Well, I've been Labor Commissioner now for almost 12 years. That's a lot of experience. And in that 12-year period of time, you know, it's unusual for someone to stay in office that long and not have some major scandal or something terrible happen that embarrasses the office itself or the person. And we haven't done that. Instead, we've brought the Labor Department out into the public, to the table, whereas before people didn't really know what the Labor Department did. And now we're at the table of economic development. We are, back to safety, when I first took office in 1994, the average was 15 per 100 accidents and injuries. And today,
what's that mean? 15 what to 100?
15 accidents and injuries out of every 100 people.
Okay.
Today, it's around 5 out of every 100. And Lloyd keeps confusing accidents with injuries and with deaths, but really what you see on this scale, I don't even know if you can show it or not, he's talking about a small bump right here. If the camera can show that, we started up here. Yeah, we started up here, and we come down here, and we had this little bump, and so there was an article in the newspaper about a little rise, but then we continued to go lower after that. So, but you know what really qualified me to be Labor Commissioner, and I think what people liked, my 10 years prior to the Labor Department, I spent in the construction industry. It was my job to know what the businesses needed in order to run their business. It was my job to know OSHA federal regulations. On top of being their legislative liaison, I also ran their apprenticeship training school. I set up programs and ran 4-year licensed schools for electrical, plumbing, pipe fitting, carpenter, roofing, 8 programs altogether. I put the curriculum together, I chose the teachers, I set up the laboratories and the classrooms, and it was my job to know what the wage rates were. And I literally went out and got these young people jobs while they worked with contractors over this 4-year period of time until they could test for their license. So my years in the construction industry now have been as long as Lloyd's practically.
Lloyd's mentioned the minimum wage is an issue. How do you feel about that?
I think the minimum wage is something that people raise every election year as if it's something that's going to cure all the ills, and it's not. Every time the minimum wage has ever been raised, first of all, 95% of Oklahomans make more than the minimum wage. We have 5% that don't. That 5% includes part-time workers. It includes kids going to school, mothers who work outside the home. It was never meant to be a living wage, never. So what we raise it $1, what's that going to do? I mean, for the economy in Oklahoma, it's pandering to all people out there to make it sound like I'm for higher wages. But if you're really for higher wages, then why don't we make it $10 an hour? It's just it's not an issue.
Why don't we allow each of you to address the voters and to look into the camera if you choose to tell them why you'd like them to vote for you, and give you each a minute and 15 seconds. Lloyd, why don't you go first?
Okay. I believe that the Labor Commissioner job has been let down in the people of Oklahoma. In 2002, there was a protest in front of the Labor Commissioner's office. It was an insult to the Labor Commissioner not showing up for work. It's an insult to the state of Oklahoma. We need a Labor Commissioner that'll show up for work every day. A local channel station followed her around 3 weeks, didn't show up but 6 times, no more than 4 hours a day. Her answer was, my computer at work is not the best computer in the world. So the one at home is one I'm used to, so I'd rather do that. I want to be your Labor Commissioner because I want to try and help bring that health insurance card to every worker in the state of Oklahoma. I do want to raise the minimum wage. It puts more money into the pockets of Oklahomans, better buying power. 3 other states have did it. They've shown that it works and it does raise the economy. And that's why I want to be your next Labor Commissioner November 7th, to work hard for Oklahomans, bring my family moral values to the people of Oklahoma to make sure that everybody is fair and equally treated.
Hey, Brenda?
He just keeps telling that nasty story. I don't care that 2 disgruntled employees stood in front of my business or stood in front of the Labor Department. I mean, everybody has had that kind of thing. But you know what you're saying actually is, Brenda doesn't ever come to work, but she sure does win a lot of awards for somebody who doesn't ever come to work. It's my turn to talk, Lloyd. You've had yours. Yeah. And I'll tell you what, there have been less accidents, injuries, and deaths since I've been elected than any Labor Commissioner in history. And you don't know your history, Lloyd. You want to be the Labor Commissioner. Hush. You want to be the Labor Commissioner that sits behind a desk and acts important. You just want to be important. It's not important. You know, if you sit behind a desk, it'll make you like every other Labor Commissioner that did nothing, that hung out at the state capitol and sat behind a desk while I've been out in Guyman, Bartlesville, Ponca City, Edmond, Tulsa, Muskogee, Miami. I go everywhere while I'm Labor Commissioner and talk to everybody and take our programs out in roundtables so that everybody can access the Labor Department. And you, fella, need to get your story straight.
Okay, excuse me, Brenda. Our time has run out, not on this segment, but on that question. Real quickly, this is a statewide race. You have to run in 77 counties. Should the Labor Commissioner's position be elected or appointed?
At one time it was an appointed position. It started out being elective and then it went to appointed and then back to elective. I right now don't have a big opinion of whether it's one way or the other. I'd serve at the pleasure of a governor. I would serve at the pleasure of the people. So that's fine.
Okay. Brenda?
I think it should be elected. I like democracy. I think the people like it this way, and they've spoken. There's been polls done on it, and 70+% to 80 want it to be elective. So I like democracy.
All right. We appreciate both of you coming on the show. It was a lively conversation. I think our voters are better served for the opportunity they've had here. Now, Lloyd Fields, Brenda Reneau, Labor Commissioner's race, November 7th. If you live in Oklahoma, it'll be on your ballot. Kent and I'll be back with the final word right after this.
The good life comes naturally to Tulsa, where nature's beauty is matched with an eye for aesthetics. A legacy of neighborhoods graced with lawns and landscaping and handsome homes. A place that seems to have patented an ideal lifestyle. Bank First is loyal to the quality of life Tulsa assures its citizens, to the priority placed on education, culture, and growth. Loyal to builders who transform raw land into residential charm. Developers who see opportunity and add vitality to Tulsa's economy. Bank First serves both enterprise and private lives that need a loyal partner. It's how we help nurture this city's very good life. Bank First. Loyal to Oklahoma. Loyal to you.
I'm Chris Paul. And I'm Dave Lyell with some of our friends from the Boys and Girls Clubs in Oklahoma. Growing up is tough. Everyone needs a fun and safe place to learn and grow.
Boys and Girls Clubs offer programs that instill a sense of pride, purpose, and belonging. club kids have grown up to become movie stars and, yes, even basketball legends.
We hope you'll join Cox Oklahoma in supporting the Boys and Girls Club.
Get involved with your local club today because it truly is
a positive place for kids.
Hello? Anybody home?
Hi.
Digital Max. Welcome to the neighborhood. Hello, kid. Whoa. I haven't seen a digital tangle like that since... Yeah. You need Cox Connections. With one connection, you get the whole digital enchilada. Kind of like this.
Wow.
What are you waiting for?
Get one connection to all your digital services from Cox.
I think I pulled something.
Your friend in the digital age.
Lively show with our two candidates for Labor Commissioner, Lloyd Fields and Brenda Reneau.
Yeah, lively race. It's an important position, particularly with the immigration issue coming up more all the time. I want to go back just a second to something we talked about last week. The Edmond Family Counseling Organization has the Centennial Cookbook, which you see now on the screen. It's the official Centennial Commission cookbook. We encourage you to, you'll see the website, you can get it there. Order your cookbook. First recipe is Honorable Mick Cornett. It's about $22 and change. It goes to great services and programs at Edmond Family Counseling.
And we also have our website for The Verdict. If there's a show you'd like to see on an upcoming episode, we would love for you to go to our website and let us know what that topic would be, theverdict.tv. We've got a little time left over.
Well, and let's talk about what we're going to do next week.
Okay.
We've styled this show, The Election is Almost Here, Thank Goodness. We're going to have Mike McCarville come on next week and tell us about the upcoming races, what he thinks are interesting, what he thinks are going to be hotly contested. And we'll get him to take a few stretches out on the limb to see whether he's right or not.
And it can't hurt to just take some notes, because when you go in to vote, that ballot seems pretty long and two-sided, and I don't mean two-sided as if there's two opinions, but two-sided literally.
Yeah.
But so, yeah, and Mike's pretty much up on these races, so it'll be a good chance for people to learn a little bit more.
Besides that, there's never been a dull show that Mike McCarville's been on.
And that'll be next week. For Kip Myers, I'm Mick Cornett. We'll see you then on The Verdict.
The preceding program was produced by the Production Services Group at Cox Communications, exclusively for the Cox Channel.